Hey everybody, NecroVMX here, and welcome back with more Bioshock Infinite. I think we're damn close to the end. So we finished off Comstock. He's dead. So now the Vox and the Founders are both attacking the airship. We're trying to get the hell out of here. And we finally learned the meaning of Cage, C-A-G-E, the musical notes to control the Songbird. So now we have control over it. So let's do this. We're in the command deck.
Be careful.
All right. Yeah, this is the staging ground for the rest of the game. You now command song F. Okay, yeah.
Booker, tell him where to go. Booker, over there, the box.
We need this thing to make it to Monument Island.
You have to protect the thing, you know? Yo! You basically have to just continually defend. It basically becomes tower defense at this part. Damn, that didn't work too well.
Gunships.
Get ready.
On the barge. Songbird's ready.
Take out that gunship.
Let the Songbird take care of the actual ship while I
That's all I have right now.
take care of these guys. Alright, we're doing good, we're doing good.
There's more. Where should I send him?
How about there?
Bring down that gunship.
Damn, that didn't work well. I'm going up to the top. Might as well, right?
Open it.
There you go. Songbird's ready, Booker. Sorry.
Where is he? Oh, there he is. Got him. Damn. Ooh boy. That's gonna hurt, yeah.
Okay,
Come on.
catch.
Alright. Shit. Alright, we're good, we're good, we're good.
Our tears become gold, and your tears will become blood.
Zeppelin.
I see it. As soon as I'm able to target it. There we go.
There, the Zeppelin.
Catch.
Shit.
Win.
Jesus. Oh god. Thank you. I gotta get up further.
Tell Songbird inbox.
I'm doing it.
Bring up the look to this.
Go ahead.
Okay.
There's the second Zeppelin. Ah, boy. I just used the Songbird.
Got ammo.
Oh god, I just fell off the thing. Alright, yeah.
The Zeppelin.
That's all I have right now. Rockets, watch out.
Oh, this ain't going well.
Need more time.
I'll take it.
That'll do.
She's only giving me ammo for the frickin' sniper rifle, you know? Well, there's some shotgun ammo.
I have salts.
Well, give them to me.
Cash hooker.
That'll do.
Damn it. My shield to come back.
He's ready with it.
Is he? Damn it. Alright, well, I got the Zeppelin, but, well, I attacked it, but she's got to bring me back.
Sure thing.
He's still alive, isn't he? I just knocked his helmet off.
Okay, catch.
Perfect timing.
The thing doesn't have much health left. I really gotta end this soon. I need the Songbird. Damn it.
Try to keep you solid.
Alright, we're done. I think that's all the combat we need to do here. Shit. Oh wait, the bow. That's the front. Shit. Alright, well I've finished off all the enemies. I remember that being a lot harder, but then again, the first time I did it, I probably did a lot of things wrong. Where am I? Here. Okay. Check it out. Wow.
Booker, come here.
Columbia's done for.
You can use the Songbird to bring the whole damn thing down. Destroy the siphon.
And that's what you want.
It's the only way we'll find the truth. Got my finger, Comstock.
You don't know if you're gonna like the truth, but alright.
Tear it down. Tear it all down.
Got the Bird of the Cage achievement. That's cool. much for the siphon. Good bird. And that should restore her powers fully. Although he lost the Whistler, so now the Songbird, we no longer have control of it. Such an amazing ending this has. You guys have no idea. This is going to be so cool.
Where is he?
Look where we are.
Where is he?
Does this look familiar? This part's really sad, though, watching the Songbird die. You know it can't handle water pressure. Just a little bit in Battleship Bay hurt it.
I'm here.
You know, it is kind of sad to watch it die, to be honest. It definitely can't handle being in the Atlantic Ocean like that.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry.
There was no... That thing was too dangerous to live, but it's still sad. But look where we are. We are several decades in the future in the setting of the first two games.
Doorway. One of many. This way.
What do you mean it's a doorway? Where are you going?
Oh, come on. Yes, it's this way.
What Comstock said about your finger. Is there an answer here? Do you...
Down here.
Now you can see everything's kind of messed up already, so this is probably around the time of, I would guess, either during or right before the first Bioshock.
Over here, Booker.
So it's not so messed up as it was in the second Bioshock.
This is where we have to go.
Why? What is going on? Elizabeth, what do you mean that this is a doorway?
I'll have to show you.
Probably gonna regret this.
Oh, definitely. She's come to this realization that Booker hasn't come to. It's gonna have to be kind of spelled out for him.
City at the bottom of the ocean. Ridiculous.
It is cool to see Rapture again after playing in it for 2 games. Unfortunately, you know, this is the ending. You don't get like a whole thing where you get to play through Rapture. The DLC goes into that, which I've never actually played. I don't have it on Steam. Maybe one day I'll get to do it, but right now I don't have it.
Look at that.
There's the lighthouse where it all began in the first Bioshock.
Opening all at once. My God, they're beautiful.
The stars.
It's like reliving the beginning of the first Bioshock, except without the plane crash. Instead, we started in Rapture and went up to the lighthouse instead of starting in the lighthouse and going down to Rapture. It's kind of interesting. And of course, in Bioshock 2, you were already in there.
It's no good. Damn it. I thought once we were here, I could fully control it. I thought...
What is that?
It's a key.
Where did it come from?
It's always been there. I just couldn't see it.
Here we go.
See? Not stars. They're doors.
Doors to...
To everywhere. All that's left is the choosing.
So this is essentially the Bioshock multiverse.
Where are we? Who are...
There are a million worlds. All different and all similar. Constants and variables.
What?
There's always a lighthouse. There's always a man. There's always a city.
How do you know this?
I can see them through the doors. You, me, Columbia, Songbird. Sometimes, something's different. Yet the same.
Constants and variables.
Yes.
Look at that.
Look,
It's us.
not exactly. We swim in
Variations.
different oceans but land on the same shore. It always starts with a lighthouse.
I don't understand.
We don't need to. It'll happen all the same.
Why?
Yes, it does. Yes, it has. Yes, it will.
are so many choices.
They all lead us to the same place. Where it started.
No one tells me where to go.
Booker. You've already been.
Many, many times, too. That's the kicker of it. They hinted at it strongly in the beginning and throughout the game that Booker's been through all this before. This isn't the first try. This is just the first successful one. The Lutesses, you know, once Booker failed the first time, they figured out how to tap into alternate realities and pull him from other worlds.
I know this place. I was here 20 years ago, right after Wounded Knee. I was looking for...
Come on now, time's a wasted.
Why were you here?
Are you ready to have your past erased? Are you ready to have your sins cleansed? Are you ready to be born again? Take my hand.
No, I don't want to.
You already did, didn't you?
Are you ready to be born again?
I am.
Do you hate your sins?
I do.
Do you hate your wickedness?
Yes.
Do you want to clean the slate, leave behind all you were before, and be born again in the blood of the
Yes.
Lamb? Jesus, wash this man clean. Father, make him
Stop
born
it.
again. Lord,
Stop it.
what are you doing? Get off me! Get off! Son!
You didn't go through with it.
Think a dunk in the river's gonna change the things I've done? Let's get out of here. Hey, look, these doors of yours, they're all tears, right? Well, open one up. Open one up to Paris. I want to be shut of all this.
Not until we find Comstock.
Not too
Comstock's
simple.
Dead.
No. He was here. This way.
She knows the truth now of who Comstock is, and it hasn't dawned on Booker yet.
What of my debts?
Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt.
This is the man who hired me to find you.
Really?
Yes,
Nope.
the girl for the debt. Wait, no, this is wrong. What is this? There's no baby. I remember. No, there was no baby, and if there was, I sure as hell wouldn't give it over to this guy.
Booker, you don't leave this room until you do.
Do it. Time is running short. Bring us the girl.
And wipe away the debt.
Go ahead.
No.
You can wait as long as you want. Eventually you'll give him what he wants.
How do you know all this?
I can see all the doors, and what's behind all the doors. And behind one of them, I see him.
Comstock. What choice do I have?
The debt's paid. Mr. Comstock washes you of all your sins.
Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt.
There was no baby. The deal was I go to Columbia to get you.
Booker, you're bleeding.
Oh. I remember that.
Now we've upset him.
I don't expect this next bit will do much for his mood.
Come on.
And we're back at the beginning of Bioshock Infinite.
What are we doing here? Comstock's dead. We can just go on with our lives. You don't need
Dead?
to.
I mean like Chen-Lin? Like Lady Comstock? No. He is alive in a million worlds. It's not over because the Prophet is dead. It will only be over when he never even lived in the first place.
Hey, the deal's off. You hear me?
You're unstable.
The deal is off. Give her back. Give her back.
Fine, are you mad?
Give her back, you son of a bitch.
It's ready! No!
No. No, no,
Shut
no.
down the
So there's a big, big realization. Anna DeWitt, A.D., the mark on his arm, on his hand rather, his daughter, also Elizabeth Comstock, same person. That's how her finger was lost.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
She's gone, Booker. Anna's gone.
A.D.
You shared this room with your regret for almost 20 years. Until one day, a man came to you and offered you a chance of redemption. A chance for us to meet.
I told you it was over.
See, all you know it works. The question is, will he? You suppose he branded himself as some sort of penance?
Sure.
Don't see the point. What's done is done. What's done will be done. I suppose the brand is his hair shirt, as he is ours.
Wipe away the debt. Use the girl. Wipe away the debt.
See, he's starting to put his story together.
Wipe away
You're quite fond of this theory of yours.
He's manufacturing new memories from his old ones.
Well, the brain adapts.
I should know. I lived it.
Booker, wake up.
Because he's both alive and dead. Lutece, that is.
This is where it started.
I saw you.
To your credit, you did try to weasel out of the deal.
True.
This is all Comstock's fault. What if I went back? Killed him before he did any of this?
Things get set in motion.
How would one know how far back to go?
That's the only way to do it. Go back to when he was born, and we'll smother this son of a bitch in his crib.
Let's do it. It is the ending, but you still have to play parts of it.
Booker, are you sure this is what you want?
I have to. It's the only way to undo what I've done to you.
He still doesn't realize who Comstock actually is. He's about to.
Booker DeWitt, are you ready to be born again?
Why are we back here?
This isn't the same place, Booker.
Of course it is. I remember.
Are you ready to leave behind all that has gone before? Wipe the slate clean.
Who are you?
You chose to walk away, but in other oceans, you didn't. You took the baptism. You were born again as a different man. It all has to end to have never started, not just in this world, but in all of ours.
Smother him in the crib.
Smother, 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 smother. Before the choice is made, before you are reborn. He's Zachary Comstock. He's Booker DeWitt.
Both.
So Booker is Comstock. He became Comstock after he accepted the baptism. And the only way that we can ensure that Comstock never exists in any of the realities is for Booker to die before that happens. That also erases all the alternate versions of Elizabeth, because presumably she never would have went to Columbia. And explains why after... I got a bunch of achievements. It explains why after... What a great game. What an amazing experience. So it explains why after, Booker, who became Comstock, created Columbia and became a fanatic and a prophet, the prophecies were probably always, visions of tears into other realities. Because if you think about Elizabeth and her powers, they probably came from a source, that source being Booker DeWitt, also known as Zachary Comstock. So, if you think about it, he's trying to create a daughter. He finds out that he's dying at some point, and he needs an heir to lead Columbia on and to take his place. And he finds that his wife, the Lady Comstock, is unable to produce one, that she just doesn't get pregnant, whether it's because he can't impregnate her or because she just can't get pregnant. It just doesn't happen. So he goes to another reality, one where he had not accepted the baptism and remained Booker DeWitt, and plucked a daughter from there by, finding that this version of himself was, a drunkard and a gambler and had fallen on hard times and had this huge gambling debt, and pressured him into giving up his daughter to wipe away his debt. But then, of course, Booker, even though he was enough of a degenerate gambler, and enough of a bad guy, he definitely believed that he was a bad person after all. I mean, after what happened at Wounded Knee, if you know your history, it wasn't pretty. It was pretty fucked up, actually. He believed, at least, that he could go through with it and sell his own baby daughter, but at the last minute decided he did not want to do that, and that's why they had the struggle at the portal and how Anna lost her finger. So that's huge. And then, of course, the Lutesses were murdered, probably because of what they knew about Elizabeth and her true lineage. But then there was the Lutess from the other dimensions, so the Lutesses were both alive and dead because they had died in some realities and not in others, and that's why, they mentioned that at the end there, about how Robert Lutess had been through that already, and they plucked out, Booker, and all he could remember really was bring us the girl and wipe away the dead, and, it was referring to his daughter. But he didn't know that, so they kind of used him and said, yeah, there's this girl in the tower, go get her. And he forgot that it's been 20 years since he had these debts, because his brain was just so messed up from the, from the time travel, the interdimensional travel, from being alive and dead, from being, 2 people or 1 million people all at once, and getting glimpses of that, it really messed with him. That's at least, my interpretation of the events of the ending and the game in general. I think they're pretty sound. There's actually a stinger here, so I'm going to wait through the credits, of course. There's Troy Baker playing Booker, just an amazing voice actor. So good. An interesting thing about Elizabeth, actually, they if you remember the first few trailers, back before it was really, showing off any gameplay or anything, Elizabeth looked kind of different, and actually there was this girl, I don't know her name, but she cosplayed Elizabeth, and she just really nailed it. I mean, she just looked amazing. She looked like she jumped right out of the game. And they actually altered, the developers of Irrational Games, they loved the look of the picture of this cosplayer so much that they actually altered the look of the character in game to look more like the cosplayer, which I thought was pretty cool. So, this is one of my favorite games of all time in terms of first-person shooters. Gameplay-wise, it's not the most amazing thing ever. It's really, solid, but, just the overall experience is amazing. But, just taking it as an overall experience, I mean, there are a few first-person shooters that I would put above this, like Black Ops 3, the newer version of Doom, and what else? Wolfenstein: The Old Order, not the old. I'm sorry, the New Order. I'm confusing the New Order and the Old Blood. Wolfenstein: The New Order. That's probably my number one pick right there. But Bioshock Infinite, definitely in the top 10. I do know a few people who didn't dig this one as much. Some people who think that the only the first Bioshock was really good, and I know some people who, will agree that the first one was good, but that the second one was even better, and that this one was just too different, and it is very different, and I think the reason is because, the guy who created this series and directed the first game, Ken Levine, did not work on Bioshock 2, and Bioshock 2 was very much a sequel. It was, it was 10 years after the events of the first Bioshock. It continued and expanded on some of the themes and brought in new themes, but it had the same setting and everything. But I think, the problem is when you do two games in a row that are kind of like, the same basic idea, and then the third one's so different. It's sort of, where it's like, almost like an anthology, like the way that Elizabeth explained it. There's a million worlds, the infinite realities, which is why it's called Bioshock Infinite, of course. And, and the only commonalities are the city, man, and lighthouse. And there's a man, there's a city, there's a lighthouse, and I hope we see more of it in the future. But, when you really think about it, it's sort of like Halloween. They did Halloween, and then they did Halloween 2, and then they decided to do something completely different for the third one, to go with an anthology thing. And it seems like John Carpenter, who created Halloween, wanted to do that, but, somebody else made Halloween 2, and, it, made it as a sequel. So Ken Levine, he wasn't involved in Bioshock 2, so... I do personally think that Bioshock 2 is a better game than the first one, but I understand why it's sort of a weird thing to go for. Like, if they did Bioshock and then the next game was Bioshock Infinite, I think that, people would have been like, oh, okay, it's going to be different every time. And then if they did Bioshock 2 after that, and they said, well, this is a sequel to the first one, or something like that, that would have been a little different. But it also doesn't have, like a lighthouse in it. So, it really is a continuation of the same story. So, in a way, Bioshock and Bioshock 2, I think, are meant to be experienced, together, back to back, in one continuous experience. And including the DLC for Bioshock 2, Miranda's Den or whatever it was. I only played it on Xbox. That was pretty good. That, and that tied up some of the loose story ends. And then Bioshock Infinite is this separate experience. And like I said, I really do hope... I know that Ken Levine walked away from it, and he dissolved Irrational Games and everything, but, my understanding is he doesn't have access to the Bioshock IP anymore. But I hope somebody who wants to make another really good one comes into that and gives us more, Because, Bioshock 2 kind of proved that other people can handle this series and do something really great and amazing with it. And I know some people who think that 2 was not that good and that they only like the first one and the third one. So, everybody's got all kinds of opinions. Personally, I think they're all great, but I think that Infinite is my favorite one, followed by Bioshock 2, and then actually the original Bioshock being my least favorite, even though it's also really just an awesome game and an amazing experience. So like I said, the credits are kind of long, but there is a stinger. There's a scene at the very end. It was interesting that I remember having a hard time with that ending part, defending the thing the first time. Then as I was playing on Xbox, playing with a controller, I didn't really get what I was supposed to be doing. I was setting the Songbird after like individual enemies too much, like the Patriots and whatnot, and that's why going into it I knew like I had to save it to take out like the big gunships at first, and then the Zeppelins, because once the Zeppelins are down, all you have to do is like mop up the rest of the stragglers. Everybody wants to rule the world. I love the anachronism, people hearing music through the tears from the future. Everybody wants to rule the world, Fortunate Son, girls just want to have fun, and then doing these old-timey renditions of it. There's Troy Becker. And I forget her name that played Elizabeth, but she's there. I love the idea that, and that's Ken Levine there, the creator of Bioshock, is the third person. But I love that, you know, the voice actress of Elizabeth really sang the song, and the voice actor of Booker really played the guitar on that. With Ken Levine looking on, being kind of creepy. He's a creepy looking guy.
And then it's missing the next line. That's what I'm saying, like, this is the second, that's the third.
I think they're actually writing the song in this
I
clip.
think that's supposed to say a little bit.
We'll get the actual.
Can we run it through this through?
Ken Levine just walking right in front of the camera, like, ugh.
There are loved ones in the glory, whose dear forms you often miss. When you lose your earthly story, will you join the will the circle be unbroken by and by, oh by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the joyous days of childhood, are they told of wondrous love? Pointed to the giant Savior, now they dwell with Him above. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, oh by and by?
I know I can't really sing. It's just hard not to. It's such a good song.
Awakens in the sky, Lord, in the sky. You remember songs of heaven which you sang with childish voice. Do you love the hymns they taught you, or are songs of earth?
Cameraman definitely has an eye for her. They're barely putting Troy in the video. Oh, now they're going to switch over to him. Briefly, probably.
There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. You can picture.
You know, so seeing this the first time and then finding out that I could have heard the song in the game by picking up a guitar at a certain point, I always wanted to go back and play it again to do that. Luckily, I decided to wait for... I saw it on YouTube, but to, you know, to actually do it, to experience it is a whole nother level. Just like you guys are probably like, stop talking over it, but no, play it yourself, you know. You came here to watch me play it, right? What a big team on this one, too, compared to the credits of the first two games. Yeah, Take-Two, they're the ones that have the rights to Bioshock now, I believe. Or it might have been 2K, I don't know, but it's one of the two. They might be split between the two. I don't know, hopefully we get a fourth game.
This one should be like slowed down a little bit since it's the last verse.
You do that.
Otherwise there's like, well, otherwise there's just like an abrupt ending, right?
What I wanted you guys are really good. What I want to do is make it what it worse. I want to take the tempo down a little bit if you can, and sort of start by finding like Booker. If you could just be sort of like picking away at the beginning first, and then sort of start to play the song, and maybe then you guys kind of find the tempo together a little bit.
Because he finds the guitar.
I wanted to feel you guys are so excellent and professional.
Yeah, no, it won't be like that.
I want to make it sound like it's not like, you know,
Sure.
Sheryl Crow and Eric Clapton in the session.
Sheryl Crow and Clapton.
He gets Eric Clapton, I get Sheryl Crow.
Who do you want, John?
There you go. I agree.
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. Alright. I know the video's a little long, but we only got like a little tiny bit left. If you're wondering, like, how could it end like that with such a downer? So, it's 1893. It's before the events of Bioshock. It's actually 19 years before. Remember, he wallowed in his office for nearly 20 years.
Anna?
Is that you?
And they leave it ambiguous because you don't actually see the baby there, but yeah, I mean, it looks like he really got a second chance there. That's Bioshock Infinite. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I of course, really enjoyed playing it through it a second time, probably more so than the first time. It was really just such a cool experience. Not sure exactly what's next. I think I had decided, but off the top of my head, I forgot what it was. So I guess you guys have to come and see. I think I might have been thinking about doing Slain. We'll see how that goes, though. Alright, well, I'll see you guys real soon with more content. Hope you enjoyed Bioshock Infinite. Fuck you and all that. See you guys soon.